Hey there, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another review of another Eddie Murphy film, and this time it is Boomerang. Yeah, it's a pretty dirty DVD cover, but found this found this at a store, like pretty much a pawn shop, and it was $1, actually less than $1, because this was 80% off. So it was worth it for that. Didn't have this for the collection. And this is a film directed by Reginald Hudlin. This is a guy who directed House Party, and I believe this was his follow-up. And it's a romantic comedy, different kind of comedy for Eddie. And it has a pretty good cast. I mean, you got Halle Berry, Martin Lawrence, David Alan Grier, Grace Jones, Eartha Kitt, Robin Givens, who is probably most famous for her dealings with Mike Tyson. And overall, I liked the film. I didn't mind this flick. This is a time in Eddie's career where he had done Harlem Nights, and that was a big bomb with critics, and it was a box office disappointment for the studio. But they still had to deal with Eddie, so he's making movies with them. He did another 48 Hours, which I enjoyed, but it was another. It made money, but it was considered a box office disappointment, and critics tore it apart. And then after that, I believe this was the next film he went into. This was 1992. And this is around the same time he was also going to do The Distinguished Gentleman. And sorry I'm hesitating because I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this film. Because I say it's sort of a different type of Eddie Murphy flick, but it's sort of, you would see a lot later in movies like How to Be a Playa, like all these, how do I put it? It's a relationship movie in a way. It's a movie about, well, I guess I'll get into the plot, about a guy who is a player. He's an advertising executive, and he will get with a woman, and then find something wrong with her, and pretty much dump her ass. I mean, in the beginning, he has like 6 or 7 women, and sends them only thinking of you roses. He doesn't settle down. He doesn't really go into the term of love. It's just who he can seduce into his bed and then have fun with. His buddies are David Alan Grier and Martin Lawrence. And the scenes with the three of them are fun. Part of me wishes the film had a lot more of that, because that was the best part of the movie to me, is those three guys having fun with each other. Martin Lawrence talked about this thing he saw that, oh, this lady was hot, and then she had a dick. And David Alan Grier was like, what? You call that phone number 976 dick? They worked very well together, these three guys. Almost in another world, I would love to see a Clerks-style movie with just these three guys hanging out and talking, wherever they work throughout a single day. I think that would have been a great, hilarious movie, because these three very funny together. But Eddie Murphy, he gets together with this one woman who has a dog, and he buys a leash off of someone and pretends that his dog has ran away, makes the girl feel sorry for him, gives him her number because she's worried, seduces her, gets in the bed, then leaves in the middle of the night just because of some stuff with her feet. And even David Alan Grier and Martin Lawrence are like, I think Martin Lawrence said, well, you're not fucking your feet. But David Alan Grier even says, you always find something because you don't want to commit. And even just the point with doing these seductions that he gets it with his boss, or he thinks is his boss, Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt was in the Adam West Batman TV show. She was one of the Catwomen on that show. And it was a bit different to see Eartha Kitt this kind of role, getting down to her bra and panties, seducing Eddie Murphy, putting her feet in his face, playing with them. And you just see Eddie Murphy's discomfort with that. And, oh, I like it dark. And then she turns off the light and it's completely dark. And then Eddie Murphy, you just hear, can it just be a little more darker? While everything's already fucking pitch black. And finds out later that she has no actual power, so he did it all for nothing. Robin Givens, she comes in, she's the new head of marketing. Halle Berry's there working with Robin Givens, she's part of the art department. This other lady, she's sort of the, I guess, the big client. Face of the company is Grace Jones. And Grace Jones, I always remember from Conan the Destroyer, but she was also a singer. She was also one of my favorite parts of the film. She was so weird and quirky. Her bits were pretty damn hilarious. Getting pissed off at a guy who's supposed to have this perfume. It's like, I want the essence of sex. See, this, as she pulls off her panties and rubs it in the guy's face, this is the essence of sex. Just the way Grace Jones said that and just how forward she was pretty entertaining. Later on, when she knows that Eddie's trying to deal with Robin Givens, Grace Jones just blatantly says, "So when are we going to fuck?" And Eddie's like, "What?" Well, she says that you really know how to move your ass. And listen, like Grace Jones, I keep repeating myself, but she's pretty damn hilarious. Oh, another guy that's in this is Chris Rock. He works sort of the mailroom, at least, well, not the mailroom, but he's pushing the mail around, but he knows everything that's going on. He had a big role in Beverly Hills Cop 2, and Eddie Murphy knew him, so I guess he would put him in other stuff like this. And Chris Rock didn't have a lot to do, but it was nice to see him in there in an early role. Johnny Witherspoon, who had worked with Eddie in Harlem Night, not Harlem Nights, Vampire in Brooklyn, and also 1,000 Words. He had a role in this. Apparently, his stuff was shot after the fact because Eddie really wanted John Witherspoon in there. He plays David Alan Grier's dad because at one point David Alan Grier and Halle Berry together and go over to the parents' house. And David is embarrassed by his dad and his actions, things of that nature. And then the rest of the story is Robin Givens pretty much doing to Eddie what Eddie has been doing with these women. Doesn't really want a serious relationship with Eddie, but Eddie does. Eddie has fallen in love with Robin Givens, but Robin Givens treats him, manipulates him. He didn't like he's done with women in the past, so he's sort of player who's about to be played. The tagline says it all. And I thought Eddie Murphy did a good job. I keep repeating, and that's why I paused at the beginning, that it feels like a different type of Eddie Murphy comedy, but I don't know exactly how to describe it as to why it's different. Maybe because in other Eddie Murphy comedies, he's the wise ass, and he's the guy fighting authority, or he's fighting against Ned Nolte, or he's fighting against the forces out to get him in the Golden Child, or fucking with the bad guys of Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. While here, it's comedic but a different kind. It's not so much of the wise ass, but it's delving that romantic comedy aspect of it. And I know there's reviews like tumbling down to the shitter because it's a film that I do like. I thought the actors did a good job. Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry fall in love with each other. I know it says $3, but again, it was it was there for so long that they just 80% off. But these two hit it off. They start liking each other, and I thought they had good chemistry with each other. I like Halle Berry. I'm a fan of her. One thing that was cool is they're both Star Trek fans, and they started watching the original Star Trek, and they actually call each other Trekkies. And Eddie starts talking a little bit about Star Trek. That was a cool scene. I like the bit with Martin Lawrence when the three characters are playing pool, him, Eddie, and David Alan Grier. And Martin Lawrence is the type of character that always thinks people are racist. So he's talking about pool, about how, see, it's white and that ball is black because white people are afraid of the potency of black balls, the sexual. Martin Lawrence does a lot better than I do. And I think this is right before he would do his TV show, Martin. And I like Martin Lawrence. I like a lot of his movies. I like Blue Streak. Love Nothing to Lose. I think that's underrated. Love the first two Bad Boys films, so I look forward to the third one. I hope it doesn't disappoint. I forgot that one that he did where the psycho lady's after him. Like this lady goes psycho and is after him. I forget what the fuck it was called. I think Martin Lawrence actually directed it. I'm sure I could look it up, but being too lazy. I haven't seen that film in a while. I mean, he's made some stinkers, like What's the Worst That Can Happen, or Black Knight. But I do like the guy, and he brings this good bit of energy to the role. The film does feel a bit long. It's almost 2 hours long. And I don't think it needed to be long. There's a good 15 minutes at least that could have been cut out. Maybe if you're going to have that running time, maybe shorten the bits with Robin Givens and Eddie, because we kind of get that she's manipulative, and they kind of just keep putting that over and over again to your head. And maybe a little bit more of these two fall in love with each other, because it seems as if that almost, I won't say comes out of nowhere, but it's a little bit abrupt. There are a couple scenes that they share with each other, but not enough compared to the Eddie and Robert Givens stuff to have us believe these two fall in love with each other that hard. Maybe more scenes with them and less scenes between Eddie and Robin Givens. Maybe a little bit shorter running time. With that said, I don't think it deserves the 5.5 on IMDb. I think that's a bit low. I was actually surprised it was that low. Just as I see Eddie do a little bit different type of comedy. Like I said, that cast worked well. The standout scenes are the scenes between Eddie, Martin Lawrence, David Alan Grier, and then the scenes with Grace Jones. Those are my favorite ones. And believe it or not, one of those few Paramount Eddie Murphy films actually has features, extended deleted scenes, and a commentary with director Reginald Hudlin. I can't believe this has features. I mean, 48 Hours doesn't have features. Golden Child doesn't have features. Another 40 Hours. Hell, those films, well, another 40 Hours Golden Child doesn't even have a Blu-ray, so let alone features. So I was a bit surprised this had one. And this film did okay when it came out. It did pretty decent at the box office. It cost like 40 million. I don't know why it cost that much. Was it paychecks? Maybe. But it did make about 70 million in the US, so it wasn't a flop. Maybe the studio thought it was going to be another $100 million hit like Eddie's. But there you go. I mean, even Golden Child made more money than this. Yeah, people, and it costs a lot less than this. But yet people call that a flop. I don't understand why. I know. I'll defend the Golden Child all the time. But I believe this does have a cult following to the point that I think they actually made a TV show recently. Doesn't have anybody in the cast, for what I believe. But there is like a Boomerang show now. I don't know, maybe it's already canceled. But at least by the time I'm filming this, I thought it was out. The music is pretty decent. There's one particular song, I think from this artist, they use Babyface. I actually didn't mind that song. Should just look it up. Boomerang. Should have looked up before I did this. Yeah, 1992 film. Yeah, this is a film he did after another 48 hours. He did this and Distinguished Gentleman. Then they didn't do well. Then Beverly Hills Cop 3 was a big flop. And yeah, this did alright, but Distinguished Gentleman was a flop. Which sucks, because I like that film. I'll give more to that. Yeah, I made worldwide 131 million. And let's see. Try and find critical reception. 44% Rotten Tomatoes is a bit low. One credit. Though it never received the critical appreciation it deserved, it is often overlooked in discussions of the rom-com pantheon today. Boomerang still holds up 27 years later. Yeah, I'd just say that. Not a bad film at all. I don't know why it won't let me look at the fucking End of the Road. Antonio L.A. Reid, Daryl Simmons, and Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. That was pretty decent. Boys to Men. I should have said that. Boys to Men, but give credit where credit's due to each of the individuals. But I think at the time that song was more popular than the movie. I remember hearing that, I'm like, I recognize this song being played quite a few times back in the day. I'm like, oh, it's from this movie. I didn't know that. Its soundtrack became a top-selling album. Give You My Heart, It's Gonna Be Alright, Tonight Is Right, I Die Without You, Another Road by Boys to Men. Yeah, it did have a good soundtrack, I'll say that. I liked it. So I can understand why it was a hit. Yeah, 2019 series based on the film aired February 12, 2019, also called Boomerang, on BET. Sorry I'm looking at that, but I just wanted to double check. Yeah, so there is a TV show on BET. Go figure. Huh. Yet I don't even know if this film even has a fucking Blu-ray, but there is a TV show. So, yeah, not a bad film at all. I liked it. Not one of my favorite Eddie Murphy films, but um, I liked it. Pretty decent rom-com. One of the better ones I've seen in a while. I mean, I don't go out and watch a lot of romantic comedies, but definitely one of the better ones. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.